Welcome to the Architect's Edge Live. This is super exciting. I do want to note, when we promoted this, right, it was called VCF Unplugged Favorite Demos. We couldn't call it VCF9, and there's going to be a lot of VCF9 we're talking about today, probably mostly all VCF9. But regardless, there's also some other of our favorite demos. But at the time, it was embargoed, so I couldn't actually say VCF9. So we appreciate all of you guys being here 1,000%. So I'm your host, Christopher Kusek from the Architect's Edge and what have you, and I'll introduce more as we go into some great meat. But Doug, why don't you say words?
I always like to say words. Doug Creamer. I am a staff solutions architect based in Phoenix, Arizona, former vSAN SE and current core SE.
John?
I'm John Schulz. Been with VMware for quite a while. Actually, this fall will be 20 years, and started focused on a hypervisor and have had the opportunity to work through different products and things as the portfolio has expanded. Recently, NSX specialist on the strategic side, and now I'm focused on ops and automation with some awesome corporate customers in the Northwest.
You always make me want to go pull out my GSX 1.0 shrink wrapped I have in the closet, but with background blurring, it makes it hard to see. So I'm going to kick off into some stuff. You may notice in the bottom of your screen or somewhere, there's a resources button that no one's ever seen before in Zoom. Check it out. It's got links to the newsletter. It's got links to the YouTube. It also has a fun link to licensing. But the reason I called out specifically is I do want the first demo. The first demo is it's about the newsletter. And the reason is beyond just being a newsletter where I share stuff and some of you guys happen to find it and subscribe and what have you. Beyond that, and these really cool new Architect's Edge Insights articles I go and release in it, but beyond that is every issue is unique. I don't repeat stuff from issue to issue. So going back and reviewing back issues is super beneficial and important because at times you may ask a question, Christopher, something. I'm like, oh, did you check out the March issue? Because that had your answer. So definitely go check these things out and check out the newly rebranded YouTube channel, The Architect's Edge on YouTube. So go check those particular things out. But all that said, we're going to hit exactly that point I said, John, 10:03. Let's get into the meat of things. Let's kick off into some really cool demos, some of your favorite demos.
All right, cool. Let's do it. Let me get a screen share going here. I believe that is the one we want. Christopher, can you confirm you see the ops
I am loving
console?
it. I'm seeing the life cycle. I'm seeing the words life cycle.
All right. Good. Well, this is the VCF Operations console, formerly Aria Operations, maybe VCops back in the day, but you'll notice that it's got quite a few other things in here. One of the things we wanted to talk about today was the Lifecycle tab that's in there. You'll notice that there is a depot configuration here. And one of the things that is very new is this depot setting, which requires a download token, much different than the username and password. And that download token can be acquired through the support.broadcom.com website. You can log in there and grab your download token, but that will allow you to set up this online depot. And for those of you that need an offline depot, that's available as well. But this is going, yeah.
Is this the old Lifecycle Manager / vRealize Lifecycle Manager functionality all tied here inside of Ops now?
That's a very good question. So there are actually two components tied in here. There's the lifecycle component that we're looking at. There's also the SDDC manager that some folks might be familiar with as well. Now, the difference is that SDDC manager is going to manage some of the infrastructure components, the ESX, the underlying components there, that type of thing. And then the VCF management components that are managed are going to be these integrated components that we're looking at here, the ops for logs, automation, operations for networks, that type of thing. So a slight difference that may or may not remain that way. Consolidation is definitely key at Broadcom moving forward, but there's a couple different consoles there, Christopher, to take a look at. One thing you'll notice in here is that all of the install binaries get downloaded automatically into this console. So it's pretty convenient to not have to go out to the portal and download those in a one-off fashion. So hopefully those binaries are downloaded appropriately for you, as well as some of the patch binaries and then upgrade binaries when they become available as well. And will all be hosted here.
This is functionality that for a period of the last year basically broke during that time frame for customers, right?
Right. Yep. It looks like it's back in action now, as they say. So that is looking good. Christopher, that was the coverage on the depot configuration. But now another thing that you'll see in operations is license management. And there are a couple things that I want to point out here in this quick demo. You'll go through and you'll register the ops instance here with Broadcom, and you can either do that in a connected manner or a disconnected manner. Again, so this is going to be the online, or for folks that need a dark site, that's a capability that's built in here. And once you go in and register your ops instance, you'll be able to import, in the case where I'm disconnected right now, I can import a license file, and that's going to import all of the licenses that I'm entitled to into the ops console. So as you go in here and bring in this is a VCF instance as well as a vCenter instance that I've just imported, I can apply all of my licenses to those entities. So no longer do I have to go out and license several different components. I can do all of that licensing here from this single console and get that all done in a consolidated manner.
And those imported instances, those are not vSphere 9 and vCenter 9, right? Those are the 9 instances that you've imported in. Is that accurate?
These actually, both of these are 9 instances. I do have an
awesome.
8 that I was working with.
That's even
those
better
would appear
than
in
what I want to know.
Yeah. So those would appear in the pre-version 9 tab here, and that licensing can be done through there. But anyway, you can see the licenses that you're entitled to here. You can apply them to the systems here in this this window in this portal, and again, consolidation, trying to make it easier for everybody. That is the licensing and registration part. My next demo was dashboards. So let's jump into that. When I'm working with customers, a lot of times they say, hey, let's create a dashboard to do whatever. Well, generally our recommendation is, hey, let's don't start from scratch. Let's find a dashboard that's been started and modify that thing. And one of the best places that I found to get dashboards is from Mr. Brock Peterson's GitHub repo of dashboards. And he's got some really great ones here that have been built out. And one of the ones that I'll do a demo on here is the VM Details 6. Let's say, hey, let's check this out. I want to import this dashboard. I can come out here and quickly download that file. And what's downloaded is just a zip file. And so if I go and extract the zip file, I will get a couple of things. I will get several views. In this case, I've only got one view. And then I also get a dashboard. So the dashboard is constructed of different views. So then if I wanted to import those, I would come in here to my infrastructure operations and dashboards and reports. I'm going to import the views first. So I'm going to go to manage and import. And we can just go over here and import that dashboard. I'm sorry, first import the view. And so I would do that through this interface here, just import it. I'm going to actually skip the actual import. And then in the dashboard section, I also need to import that dashboard. So I am currently looking at dashboards. Let's go to manage. And then I'm going to also import that dashboard. And it's just that other component in the zip file, this dashboard here. Again, I'm not going to import it. The screen turns green and says import successful. So you'll know that that works. But then once that's imported, I can come down here and let's take a look at the VM details dashboard.
Now,
so
I want to know what I love about this, and what John's showing is so long as you've got metrics that we're collecting this information, once you import that dashboard, it can represent everything that's already known. It's not like your data is only from the point you create that dashboard, because that's what makes these things super powerful. You immediately get that value so long as you've had ops deployed for more than 6 minutes, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we'll look at some of these features on another dashboard here. But one thing that I think is really cool is that you can go in then and edit that dashboard. And, say you want to tweak one of these metrics a little bit, or maybe add something to that view, then you can certainly do that. And you're not starting from scratch. So it gives you a little bit of a start. Super easy to import and to display those dashboards. Let me switch over to another dashboard that's one of my favorites here. All right, let's see here. The troubleshooting VMs dashboard.
I want to know, Todd says in the chat, which is absolutely spot on, always clone a dashboard and then make changes.
Yes,
Todd, you got it. Todd wins a prize. I mean, I can't.
Todd, send Todd the prize. That is very key.
Proper honors for that. That is the right way to do it. Do you want to explain why you always want to clone a dashboard, John?
Yeah, well, in our case, we typically want to clone that just so that we're not modifying the production dashboard there. So we can break it. If there's a
new release, we may overwrite that original one. Yeah. Also, some dashboards will not allow you to modify them, and they have to be cloned. So we kind of fix that, like, hey, you can't change this unless you clone it. So either way, there's a couple, built-in blockers.
Definitely. Todd wins a prize on that one, for sure. So this one is a dashboard that I think is pretty handy. And again, you can go in here and clone it and then edit the dashboard. And then you can check out things like, what are the relationships? What are the interactions between the different widgets that are happening? That kind of thing, and really dig into modifying it, but not having to start from scratch. That's really the key point here, I think, for this demo. There are a couple other things here, and Christopher, you mentioned it, was changing the time scale. So if I want to take a look at 24 hours ago or 7 days ago, or I can create a custom view of these details, I can do that. Another thing that's handy is sharing this dashboard. I can go in and create an expiring link or a never expiring link and share that with my, let's say, the ops team. They can put that dashboard up on in a NOC, or if I've got one of my executives who wants to see a specific dashboard on consumption and usage, or maybe cost, I can send that link to the individual so that they can come in and see the dashboard in a read-only fashion. Pretty handy. Another thing that's been added is this home button. And if I click that home on my favorite dashboard, what I'll see is when I log into ops, that dashboard is going to be right there at my fingertips. So instead of, Christopher likes to say, instead of clicking 4 or 5 times to get to a dashboard, boom, it's right there at my fingertip, and I can begin my coffee dashboard. This is when I log in.
That's Brock word, the morning coffee dashboard.
The morning coffee dashboard.
It is nice because when you open ops in the first place, you'll be on the home page, and then it's a single click, right? You click that versus infrastructure operations, dashboards and reports, expand. Maybe it's favorited. Okay, cool, it's there. Oh man, I'm 4 or 5 minutes in, right?
Right. If it is a coffee dashboard, you might want to sort by things that are 100% healthy. That way, you just don't blow your morning on seeing that CPU contention right off the bat.
Dan has a great question. Is the home per user or can we set it by policy?
Oh, that's a question. What would you say there, Christopher?
Well, I mean, it is per user, but can it be set by policy? I don't know that the answer is can it be set by policy because I know
Yeah.
it's definitely per user.
Yeah. It's a good
If
question. I don't know if it
if
can.
that's not in the drop that in the Q&A, so that way we can make sure we answer that formally, Dan, unless Cosmin knows. Cosmin, if you know the answer to that question, can we actually holistically, is that a word? Right? Can we policy based assign dashboards to the home?
No, it's your home screen, so
Yeah.
it's up to you to
It's
define it.
quote, it's favorites. Everyone gets their own favorites, right?
Cool. Okay. There you go. All right. So that's dashboards, importing, favoriting, changing the time, all that kind of good stuff. So let's move on to the next one. And that one is on the integration side. And one of the cool things about VCF 9 is that the marketplace for integrations is actually included now here in the interface. So I can download those integrations right here in Ops. They'll appear in my repo, and then I can go ahead and configure those integrations.
So wait, John, help me out here. You're telling me I don't have to Google VCF Marketplace, search through the thing to try to find my management pack I want to install, find my credentials don't work, eventually get Doug to send it to me, and then load the pack file, and then click install, and then click next, finish. I don't have to do any of that, right?
You don't have to do any of that. It's all now included there in the marketplace, which, maybe you were searching for the old VMware marketplace or the Broadcom marketplace. You don't know where to go. Boom, it's right there in the interface. So pretty handy addition to get that going. All right, let's see here. Yeah, and then we can come in here and just configure our integrations right there and see that we're collecting some good data into Ops. All right. Let's look at our next demo. Certificates. Again, we're looking at the Ops console. This is all included in the new VCF 9 Ops console. We've got a view of certificates that appear in our environment for the VCF components. And you can see over here the expiration date. And one of the handy features of this implementation, which is an initial implementation. I see we're getting some hearts there. It's good. Yeah.
I do want to touch back on that last part. Jason had a great question.
Okay.
Does that functionality only work if we have ops exposed to the internet? It's meaning, is it using the marketplace or is it using your depot for this portion of it?
Yeah, that's a good question. My understanding is that it's using the marketplace.
So it is going, the ops instance is going out to the internet to go pull these things using your entitlement that lets you go to Customer Connect, pull that stuff down basically, right?
Right. That's my understanding.
Versus the lifecycle pieces inside of fleet management was using your depot.
Right. Yeah. Here's the depot that I've got here. I think is more of a repo in this case. I think that's where we're headed. But the marketplace is.
Yeah, I got you, man.
I got you. Yeah. Gotcha.
No, and that's
right there.
Yeah. Fleet management is a depot for the primary binaries, whereas internet connectivity in the marketplace is for pack files, management packs. Yeah, that's the word I want to use. Management. Right. Sorry to derail you on certificates, but that was a great question by Jason. I wanted to make sure we touch.
Yeah, no, really good question. And Christopher, you made me think of another demo, the management pack builder, which I don't think we included today.
It says,
oh, is it?
Remember, the management pack builder not only exists, but it's also directly integrated instead of a separate install.
Yeah, absolutely. It's down here in the developer center, and the management pack builder is right there. So if the management pack that you're looking for doesn't exist or is outdated, and you have the ability to come in here and create a new design, it's there embedded in the product. So
Now,
easy
we
to
don't have a
access.
demo on the Management Pack Builder today, and that is solely because Dale Hassinger on his blog, vcrox.info, has great ones at Explore, and Dale's sessions at Explore from last year are a great resource to see how to build management packs that we didn't want to eat our time and your time on showing you something that will provide you resources for.
Yeah, definitely. So any other questions that we need to hit before I jump into certificates?
No, you just roll with it. Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Keith.
All right. Yeah, so just, I wanted to show this off. This is pretty handy. And there's also the ability to auto renew certificates. You can use a Microsoft CA or OpenSSL to perform those updates. So pretty handy. Just a great view. This didn't exist in the past where I could have one place to see this and to check those certificates, because it sure is a pain when they expire.
Well, we don't need to use Microsoft CA to manage these specific certificates, right? For like my
No, you don't.
ESX.
No. Yeah.
And you remember my favorite part on this. For anybody who's ever updated a vCenter using ops, you go and you need to do a new certificate update to that vCenter, and you do. And then ops stops collecting information until you go into ops and you go into the thing and say, check access. And it's like, did you get a new certificate? Did you accept this? That goes away and it's managed through this life cycle. So if you activate that auto renewal or you manually renew it by clicking renew, it works.
Yep.
And I'll say it works. And it's super exciting because that is a burden we all face in our management of our operations experience. You may say, what certificates? Who cares? And the reality is we all care when our stuff breaks, and it finally fixes that. And I love that. Yeah. That's why it's one of my favorites.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is really cool. And there's the underlying NSX or management components for NSX, SDDC manager, vCenter, all that good stuff. In addition to the VCF components as well. So it's all in there. Cool. The next one is passwords. So a very similar interface to the certificates, but here is the ability to manage passwords. And if I highlight one of these, you'll notice there are a couple of different things. One is the remediate password. So let's say one of your appliances has the password is expired. And so you need to go out and add that password. So you'll have to configure that password out on the appliance if it does expire, but then you can come back in here and remediate that password to get the password synced up again. And then at that point, you can go ahead and update passwords across your environment. So pretty handy to not have to go out to all of those individual appliances to change passwords. So again, pretty handy.
Anthony was asking about alerts for status and expiring certs. And I want to note a point on that, Anthony, is remember back in the day, we'll call it 8.17 and earlier, right? In order to get this kind of certificate visibility, you had to use the Telegraph agent, right? And you build a dashboard that was using Telegraph under the cover, all that stuff. In 8.18, we made it a little more exposed. And here in 9, we made it to where you actually have a management lifecycle on it. So we have some, if we don't already have the mechanisms in there for notification on these certs expiring and such, which you see inside the certificate pane or inside of the VCF diagnostics, right? The old Skyline diagnostics, that functionality exists in multiple places. I just don't remember if there's a direct alert that's telling you when the things are occurring, but that's just because I don't remember if there happens to be an alert. I'm going to type in for that.
Actually, I'm looking to create an alert as another demo, Christopher, on upcoming expiration, that kind of thing. So we'll see. Maybe that's for next chapter.
Yeah, John makes some really. What was that one that you were doing the firewall thing? Are you talking about that now? Are you? Am I stealing your thunder?
That's a good lead in there. So password. So yeah, we had a customer that was looking to know that their firewall on ESX had been changed. Now there's a vCenter alert that you can get to see that data, but in logs, I can create an alert, and I've got a blog entry that I've written, actually, some more detail on that, Christopher, in case you're looking for how to create a notification and alert using logs and ops. But anyhow, the alert that I created, I went in and I simply searched for the text of my log contains this key right here, basically that the firewall config has changed. And then I go ahead and forward that to VCF Operations. And then over in Operations, there are a couple things that I need to create. So I need to create a symptom definition. Symptoms are things that can be used across different alerts. And so I went in and I created a message event that basically triggered on that log alert that got forwarded over. So I'm basically just triggering on the ESX firewall changed here. And then the next step is to go in and create an alert definition based on that symptom. And I did that here and just basically created an alert to let me know that ESX firewall had changed. Kind of a handy thing to know for your security guys. And that was it. And then I applied it to, who was that, Todd, that said we need to clone dashboards and then modify them? Well, here in this case, create a security policy that's not default, because again, if you update your environment, those policies get set back to default. In this case, I created a host security policy, and I'm applying it to that so that if I do update in the future, when I do update, that policy doesn't get blown out of the water. It will remain. And so anyway, now that I have those alerts configured, I can come in and see some of my critical alerts, and I'll notice that the one here at the top that I was doing some testing with, that the ESX firewall has changed. And so it will give me more detail on that. But then I can take that alert and I can create a webhook. I've done that using Google Chat, and can send that to the appropriate team to make sure that it was expected to have a change on the firewall of my ESX host. So it doesn't typically happen very often, but I want to know about it when it does. So, Christopher, there's your last ops demonstration right there with the alert.
What? That's the last one? Okay, fine. Doug, I know you have some really exciting things you want to share with us, so I'm gonna hand it over to you for a little bit here. And I want to say, everybody, you've been on fire, asking so many questions in the chat and asking so many questions in the Q&A. We love it because you guys have great questions, and we're hoping we can answer all of them, and that's, you guys benefit from as well.
Well, hopefully everybody can see my handy dandy screen here.
I can see your hands-on lab environment. Yes.
Hey, I don't have a fancy lab like John does.
What is really cool about what Doug is showing you is literally any one of you can go log into the same hands-on lab and do this as well. So that's what I like about it. What is it? HOL 253401 VCFL? I love it.
Yeah, you got the actually shipping version, old version now of 803. So we're not even talking 9 here. So still waiting for that hands-on lab to come out. But the biggest thing from what I wanted to touch base on is the old vSAN. So when you go into your actual cluster, I got a cluster of 4 hosts right here that are actually running vSAN. No different from in the past, where you can go down and see the vSAN health, etc., as far as trend findings, so on and so forth. The really cool thing that has kind of made a little bit of a change is we've actually put some of these health metrics on the actual cluster, so you don't actually have to go hunting for it anymore. So you get the performance right then and there. Now, of course, if you're plugging it into ops with good old John showing you, all of those metrics would go there. The thing that I wanted to show is a lot of customers that I talk to have some legacy vSAN apprehension from the OSA and disk management. And so one of the things that I wanted to touch base on is we have all 4 hosts. You can see that 2 of 2 disks are in use. We have a lot of customers that are like, well, what disk do I have to remove? So now you can actually turn on or off the LED for a specific disk that maybe is unhealthy and needs to be replaced. So you're actually removing the right drive. The cool thing would be is then you can actually unmount it from here and then remount it. I'm not going to do that, of course, in the hands-on lab because it's a lab. But the idea would be is just make sure you turn the LED off. Otherwise, it will still be blinking at you. Just a little tip from your Uncle Doug there. The other thing that I would also like to show is you can also view the host objects based upon all of the different VMs that we currently have. So you can kind of see all of these different VMs that are over there. And this is still kind of similar to how the old OSA. So if you wanted to see where this was placed as far as the disk was concerned, you can either buy the component or by the host. So either way, it's kind of similar to how we did it in the original storage architecture, just a little bit different flow from the ESA standpoint. The other thing that we're also going to talk about is data protection, which has kind of honestly been revamped for a better thing. A lot of struggles used to occur in the original storage architecture with vSAN sparse. So the snapshot engine was completely redesigned. The really cool thing that we're going to start showing you is the actual snapshot space usage and the data protection and how many VMs are or are not protected. So in this particular case, you can see 2 out of the 11 VMs are protected. If you're familiar at all with live recovery, formerly known as SRM, we're talking protection groups. So that name still rings a bell. So in this particular case, you can see I have these human resource apps. I got 2 VMs, and we did a VM name pattern of HR star, and we're doing a schedule as far as the snapshot of 30 minutes, and then we keep it for 48 hours. You can also take a snapshot right on the fly. You can edit it such that you can change the dynamic name pattern. This is a deleted VM, which I'll show in a second, or you can actually change the overall schedule or add a schedule. So the cool thing is that we have complete flexibility within the vSAN cluster here to create a data protection. We can also show you the different snapshots based upon the expiration, the start time, so on and so forth. And last but not least, we have all of the different VMs that are listed within this particular group. The one thing that I wanted to show, if I go back to create a protection group, actually, I'll show you this. You can edit, pause, and delete. We have a lot of customers here that are asking about the dreaded ransomware. So we have this little button for immutability mode. So if I just do, I don't know, IT apps ransomware, and I click on immutability mode, I can do dynamic name pattern. So this particular, I can just do IT star, add. It automatically came up with the IT core 1, which is the only IT out there. Next, I can adjust this based upon minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, etc. So just click next, the confirmation, and it also will tell you is, hey, this will based upon the snapshot schedule, and we can also do a manual one. So I'm going to click create here, and just to show you, and down below you'll see within the alerts or the tasks section down here, it's actually creating the entire policy. So now it's there. And so the interesting thing here is you cannot delete or pause or edit because I enabled the immutability mode. So from a ransomware standpoint, there's a lot of concerns about deleting snapshots, etc. We have immutability mode enabled for this protection group. So those critical VMs and or workloads or just overall clusters, you can actually make it such that there's no issues there. At the same time, if I happen to just do a, I don't know, new virtual machine, and I'm just going to clone from an existing virtual machine. Let's go let's do business apps here. Oops, the value. Oh man, we'll just do core A here. I'm just going to do HR star. Actually, I'll do IT or 2. Next. So I'm just selecting the vSAN data store. If you wanted to encrypt it, you could also encrypt it. I'm not going to do any type of customizations, and then I'm going to click on finish. So what should end up happening is IT Core 2 is going to come up. I have one VM in there, and in theory, the protection group will realize that there is now an IT core because there's an IT slash or dash. So the number of VMs in theory will go up to 2 here once it recognizes that the name pattern has been created. It takes a little bit of a time. So I just want to make sure that everyone knows that it's completely dynamic as far as adding VMs are concerned. I can also go back and do the same thing, new virtual machine. I'll clone one and I'll just do an HR one. So let's do this. Let's go core to this one. Again, I'll just do HR-core 4. Next. Again, selecting the vSAN data store, next, and finish. And what will end up happening is, in theory, from if the demo likes to do what the demo wants to do, it will actually start to show that the VMs are going to be updated here. Just give it a little bit of time. I'll go back to that in a little bit. Everything's actually done, I guess, from this main console. So file shares is one of the dreaded questions that we get a lot as far as how vSAN does file shares. So in this particular case, there are no file shares that are added, but there is this domain that I had originally created. In this particular case, I'm going to create, or I should say, validate all the different IPs, DNS, and the different IP pools, etc. So double check on that. But if I wanted to have this integrated into Active Directory, I can do that. So from our end, the good thing would be is it has full AD access. So I click on Active Directory, the domain VCF vc.lab, and then I'll do this straighter. And again, as Christopher mentioned, you can also do this from the HOL lab, so you guys can all mess around with this as well from an actual testing it out standpoint. So it will just review, verify, finish. Yes, I want to do that. So what's going to end up happening from a services standpoint is it's going out there and creating the integration from Active Directory. So I'm going to have all of the Active Directory capabilities added. So the cool thing now that I can do is I can click on add a file share. So I can do VM shares.
So wait a minute, Doug. I don't have to deploy a Windows server or Linux box for SMB or NFS. So, right? I don't have to do that anymore. I can go and just use vSAN for that functionality.
Exactly. It's amazing. Mind blown. So it takes a little bit of time for the service to get enabled, but let's see if it's. I'm still the joys of doing a demo. So I'll go back to my data protection here while we're waiting.
I will ask generically, how long has file share functionality been available in vSAN? I know we've enhanced it and extended and made it deeper in 9, but how long has that functionality been in the product?
7. Version 7. So
7? What?
7,
it
not
came
5.
out 100 years ago.
No, during COVID, no less. So, but anyways, no. So the benefit here is it's been fully tested and done. The other thing that we do get questions a lot on from a services standpoint is encryption. So in this particular case, I can scroll down here from a encryption. So I've already enabled data at rest encryption with the key provider. If you happen to want to turn it off, you can always do that, but it's already been turned on. You could also do data in transit. So all the communication between the vSAN nodes is encrypted. This has been around since version 8 OG, if I'm not mistaken. So it's been around for what, 3 going on 3 years now. So we have that capability as well. And then the final thing that a lot of customers are asking about from just an overall like data store management standpoint is monitoring the capacity, because that used to always be fun within the vSAN nomenclature. So we've tried to actually simplify the amount of free space on the disks. You can also do reservations and alerts such that you can toggle on the operations and reserves. So you can apply that so that all of the different, what do you call it? Reserves are calculated in, so we have an effective usable capacity now, or free disk space capacity. And then you can also now do, outside of what John was talking about from an operational standpoint, the what if analysis. If you change your storage policy, what would end up happening, and what the effective free space would or would not be based upon that. So it kind of it's a little bit of a how should I say this? It takes what John's able to do in a very, very simple standpoint, and John can do a lot more complex within the operational framework as far as what if analysis. This is just changing a storage policy, maybe from a mirror to erasure coding, or vice versa. And then the last thing is, again, just breaking down after compression. In version 9, we actually added global dedupe. So since this is version 8, we can only have the compression enabled. We don't have deduplication in version 8. It's on version 9 for deduplication.
And I want to note, normally I share this in a slide, but this is intended to be all demos, no slides. There's a number of new stuff that used to appear in vCenter, specific to vSAN, that wouldn't make it anywhere else. Now that stuff gets extended to make VROPs, VCF operations, have more visibility into the storage metrics. I was presenting it in a presentation just an hour ago, but I can't show you a slide, so I want to note. Yeah. It's really nice, the enhancements we happen to have there. I know Brian had something he wanted to share.
Yeah, so the customers would have data storage here, and it's a lot prettier now in the monitor section of vSAN.
Yeah, absolutely. Brian, did you have some knowledge you wanted to drop for us?
Well, nothing super groundbreaking other than the fact that while Doug was doing that, I just wanted to remind everybody that the vSAN data protection that Doug is showing everybody has been available since vSAN 8U3. So it's not an additional thing that you have to pay for. So if you have VCF, you have vSAN 8U3, this is a thing you can do right now. I think it's important to say that, because time and time again, when I talk to customers and I start bringing this stuff up, a lot of them just don't realize that this is there. So it felt like it was important to make that point.
Yeah, that's why I highlighted that we're on ESXi update 3. So this is a current version. Yep. So that's it. I wanted to give time to John to talk about operations, etc. So,
John, you want to talk automation, or you want to talk Verie? And I'll ask the people. You guys want to hear some automation? You guys want to hear some Verie?
I can do. We can do real quick automation. Just a view of the interface if you want to do that, and then we can go to Verie. Oh, I'm seeing automation in there.
I see the word automation showing up at least 4 times. And then we'll roll into Verie stuff. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, let me share my screen again.
And just as a highlight for everyone who knows, any one of you who have VCF, you're entitled to VCF. You get Verie, the network insight. You get automation, you get operations, you get logs, you get vSAN, you get NSX, you get all these kind of things. It's not like we're not trying to sell you anything that you don't already own, right? You already got the car. We're just showing you all the features, Here's the second and third row. Check out these cup holders and all this kind of cool stuff that's on the truck that you guys are already owning and entitled to today. Or as you adopt VCF, you'll be entitled to tomorrow. I want to shut up. Go ahead, John.
You bailed. All right. So just a quick note, I'm not sure if everybody on the call is going to know this or not, but VCD and VRA, vRealize Automation, are being brought together into a single product we call VCF Automation, or VCFA. And so what you're seeing is just that, is VCFA. And this is, again, the combination of VCD and VRA. So if I take a quick look into the multi-tenancy, you'll see here I've got a couple of tenants. I named them after baseball teams. I do live in Dallas, Texas, so I am a Rangers fan. But you'll notice a couple things here. You'll see VM apps and then no label next to this organization. The VM apps is the the traditional 8.18 experience, the 8.x experience that you're used to. And so that is what you would see if I went into this organization. I can launch the org portal from here, and I can go in and see the experience that you would expect to see in 8.x. And so, excuse me, if you go into design, you're going to see the blueprints that you're familiar with, the blank canvas. And if I believe I can show you the difference here. I'm going to create, oh, I don't have any projects. Okay. So this is going to be
live.
Yeah, it is live. We're didn't know what we were going to have in here. So this is the typical experience. You can also, I believe this is the, all right. So that was, all right. That was the Dodgers experience. See, it's not as great as the Rangers experience.
Old school Vera kind of experience.
Yeah. So that was, now if I go, one thing I will show that, that you can see in this org is that vRealize Orchestrator, VRO, is still a component of this experience, and it is integrated directly into the console, so that you can import all of your orchestrator workflows that you've got into this org and continue to use those as you would in the past. So that is a good thing. Let me see what else I can show you. We do have a breakdown of, within the organization, we can create a region quota and apply projects and things to different regions. There's a way to create tenancy from a networking standpoint as well within the organization. We can also go through and we can create, you'll see an edge cluster that I've created here. IP spaces is something that VCD owned previously. That is imported here into the multi-tenancy, so I can create IP spaces and designate those spaces to different orgs so that they stay within their guardrails there. I don't think I have, I do have a region here that I've created. Again, this is the ability to take some tenancy capabilities into the supervisor. So one thing that you'll notice back in the organizations, I talked about the VM apps and the modern apps is what we're referring these to, or the all apps. The all apps is going to take advantage of that supervisor capability so that I can deploy either containers or I can deploy VMs within that same org and create that in my canvas using YAML or whatever it is that I want to do there. But the fact is that I can use both containers and VMs in those modern apps. And then in the VM apps is a traditional VM deployment that you've had in the past.
So VM apps is more, that our traditional Vera, whereas modern apps is really taking advantage of some of the new 9 functionality and then some. I'd say
exactly.
Let's do the last kind of VRNI pieces, the network insight, as we are running short on time. And I know there's some things you wanted to show there. I will say, Andy, we're unfortunately unable to answer the question right now, but definitely take advantage of the hands-on labs and some of the other guided stuff, as well as Dale and Cosman's blogs. You may be able to find some of those answers you're looking for there. Just so I know that there's a level of prep associated with trying to show you what you want to see there, Andy.
All right. So quick demo in vRNI. Let's take a look at.
So a lot of the functionality of Network Insight is fed directly into operations, but it still exists as a separate thing that so you can do your old school queries and other pieces that you're used to, or maybe not used to. That you're gonna be learning about for the first time today as well.
Yeah, one thing I think that was interesting, Christopher, we've talked about this, is where's our data going to, or where is it coming from? And so I can use this interactive search bar at the top where I can show, let's say, show flows. Oh, here's one that I did earlier where destination country equals Australia. And then I can order it by destination bytes in a descending manner. Okay, good. Let's look back at, I don't know, let's say the last week and search. And so based on that search, I can see that it does look like some data was egressing to Australia. Here's the IP address that was the destination on this port 443. So that would be something that we would, maybe want to take a look at if we weren't expecting data to be heading over to Australia. We can change that fairly easily. The other one that I was looking at, which I seem to have quite a bit of data going to Ireland. And so we can look through here and get a feel for what is that IP address and why am I sending data to that country. Obviously, there are a lot of different other options that we can select there, but that was kind of an interesting search that we had talked about. Look, my SFTP server is sending data to Dublin on 443. Is that good?
What was that?
I don't know. That doesn't seem good.
One of my favorite use cases on this, and I don't remember if you're going to cover this, but I'm going to make you cover it, right? Is I would do a show flows where, destination country equals China, for example, or Russia, right? Which you didn't have any traffic going there, right? Which was
No.
now. But in my case, I would do that. Hey, we have no offices in Russia or China. I want to make sure I don't have any traffic flowing to Russia or China. And then I would do that. Yeah, use your Australia one, right? So yeah, perfect example here. Hey, we have no traffic that's going to China, but if we did have it, now go leave the China one.
Oh, you want to leave? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, leave it in there. Because if we have no traffic going to China, but if we did, I want to be notified about it relatively immediately, right? So go ahead, throw back China because you dropped the country.
Yeah.
We are live, guys.
We are live.
So we've got no traffic to China, but if I go click my little bell icon in the top right corner, nope, no, or that works, yeah. I would normally click the other bell icon, but same difference. There's a lot of ways to do it. We could have it send me an email when traffic is found going to China or Russia or Australia, right? In this particular case, hey, why is my server, my favorite one, show me any external traffic going outside the United States over ports 3389 or, blah, blah, blah. If I don't have offices in those locations, because that lets me know something may be going on. And the question you're saying, is Verie a security tool? It is not. Can I use it for security stuff? I can. So yeah, I like about what John did there is this is show me the flows where the country is not the United States. So we can see UK, Ireland, Netherlands, India, Australia, and 4 more. You may find your real environments might be talking to more places. I will say in most of the situations where I've shown this base functionality, simple query language, you just use the little search bar, all my meetings would end because we would always find something that should not be happening. Exfiltration events going on, all other fun and exciting pieces.
Yeah. You could also, like you were talking about, Christopher, show flows where destination port, if I can spell, let's see, destination. It was destination port that we were using, I think.
Destination, yeah, port. There's port down there. And what is really cool, it has a lot of if you have the useful user guide there, it showed like as you were typing stuff in, it had the useful searches, but also it's relatively intuitive. Oh, I want to find the thing about the thing, and it kind of helps you fill that information out, pretty easily. What's up with all
so this one you can
traffic going on here, right?
Yeah, look at that. So I've got some interesting 3389 stuff happening, and so I would need to go in and see, is that legit traffic? Maybe it is, but might be something I want to look at.
Now I want to note, I don't know if you can show this one, but show VMs by operating system. I want to note that one in particular. we know that vRealize operations or VCF operations will tell us about all of our VMs that run inside the environment, right? So we'll see all of our operating systems and blah, 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 everything that's running in our VMs. We know that. But Network Insight doesn't look at our virtual infrastructure. It looks at flows based upon network information that may include non-virtual infrastructure. So what you may get out of that is, hey, wow, all my VMs are running a supported operating system. They're all Windows Server 2025 or whatever the latest version is. But then I have Verie saying, oh, no, actually, I've got some, in your case, it's all 2025, yeah, ESX9. But click the four more. Let's see what else we got down there, over in the left side there. I may find suddenly I've got some Windows Server 2012 that may not be virtualized or it might be virtualized, right? I may find why do I have Windows XP out here? I don't have you don't show it here, but every time I show how you can use Verie to look at your environment, we keep finding stuff that we should not be finding, often which is may or may not even be virtualized. And it's a fun way to give you greater insight, it's because it's true network insight type visibility you have in your infrastructure that you might not have known about 5 minutes before. Speaking of 3 minutes to go, any other last pieces? Any other questions we want to, touch on things? You can stop the screen share. We'll kind of address today. You guys have been amazing on all the questions in the chat, in the Q&A. Any other last pieces? Let me go find my camera again. So my little that face. I hope this was good for you.
Jazz hands.
Any last parting words you want to share, Doug, Cosmin, John, before I do my final wrap?
The one thing I'll share is just having worked with VCF9 here over the past couple of months, the integration of the products, we're getting to one pane of glass, or as I like to say, one glass of pain. It's starting to become integrated more so than it had been for the many, many years in the past. So it's all looking good.
Yeah, absolutely. Doug?
It's just not your daddy's vSAN. So, take a chance. And we just showed HCI, not disaggregated. So vSAN has a lot more clippers in the old arrow there. So we got some options for you guys. So look forward to working with everybody.
Absolutely. And check out the webinars. Simon had dropped a link in the chat, and there's some other ones. I know I've got a 4-part series in September. Yeah, it's out a bit, but I've got a 4-part series in September. And I'm curating together, trying to fit in a lot of the new functionality and features into a single session, which we'll see if we make it in July or August, just because there's so much and there's so much value that has come here in 9 that you guys can take advantage of. And be able to know what's coming so you can be prepared for it appropriately. All right. Yeah. Then see you at Explore. Absolutely. If you're sign up for Explore, if you're not yet, it should be a great event here on August 25th to 28th, I believe. I appreciate you all being here today. This was absolutely awesome. We'll catch the recording if anything we missed. And we're always happy to show you a lot of these things. And hands-on labs. You can do a lot of this stuff yourself before you have to try to do it in prod. So we appreciate you guys spending another time here with us on the Architect's Edge. You are still, I think you're pinned, John. It's my head talking, but it's your head.
Oh, is that right?
No, it's all good. All right. I appreciate you guys all being here. There we go. We're gonna wrap it for today. Check out the newsletter, check out all the links, check out the blogs. It's an endless series of amazing stuff coming out. Here, let me hit the end webinar for all. I appreciate you guys all. Thank you guys so much.